Hello guys, gals, and NB pals. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new, hi, welcome. My name is Kamiko. You can call me Miko if you'd like. And today we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2. More specifically, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should keep playing after that 2-hour benchmark. Alright, now that the intro is out of the way, I would like to make something abundantly clear before I jump into the reasons why I believe that the people who have stopped playing after 2 hours need to continue playing The Last of Us Part 2. What I would like to make clear is that I am not, under any circumstances, a gamer. I like video games. They're not, they're not an obsession of mine. I think they're a ton of fun. I bought myself a console in December of 2019 as a late birthday present, and I love it. But video games are not my thing. So keep that in mind. I'm not a person who loves video games. I'm a person who loves story. And what I mean by that is I love the act of storytelling. I love getting into the psychology of characters and why they do what they do. I like analyzing common themes and making connections between the media that I intake. And I like to figure out what drives characters into action. And I love media. But I love stories, whether it's coming off in a book or a comic or a TV show or a movie or like The Last of Us Part 2 in a video game. I am in it. Whatever it is, I'm in it for the storytelling. With that being said, I'm going to talk about The Last of Us Part 1 for a second because I'm not going to go into details or anything, but it is important for my sake of sharing with all of you that The Last of Us Part 1 was only the second video game that I had ever sitting down and played all the way through. The first one was Uncharted 4, also a Naughty Dog's game, so that's an interesting correlation. But yeah, The Last of Us was the second game that I had ever played completely through. And I did it even though my anxiety was through the roof, even though it's very graphic and very violent and has some dark themes. The story, again, I love the storytelling. The story of The Last of Us is amazing. And I finished playing The Last of Us the day before Part 2 dropped. I had pre-ordered Part 2, but I literally finished The Last of Us. I went to sleep, and the next morning I started playing The Last of Us Part 2. So, I didn't have those 7 years of waiting for the sequel the same way a lot of people did. I didn't have to wait at all. I finished it and I jumped into Part 2. So, and I just didn't have I didn't have all that time to get attached to the characters and replay the game and like wait and want for the sequel. So we'll keep that in mind. I am a person who loves story. I am not someone who is always super gung-ho about video games. I think they're fun. I think they're a great way to pass time. I have really grown to love them again, but I loved The Last of Us for the story, and I still love The Last of Us Part 2 for the story. So, with that being said, let's get into... I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you shouldn't stop playing The Last of Us Part 2 after those 2 hours. So, if I'm about to say a spoiler, so if you have not played The Last of Us Part 2 and you do not want spoilers, click off of this video now. This is not the video for you. Go watch something else. It's okay. I love you. I will forgive you. If you don't want spoilers, click away. I'll give you a minute to do so. Hey, are you still here? Cool. Consider clicking like and subscribe, and like, let me know what you thought of the game if you're still in it, if you've continued playing. Look, we know this. We know that 2 hours into gameplay, there's a character named Abby, who we had been playing as for a minute, and Abby violently murders Joel. We know this. Ellie witnesses it. It breaks Ellie. And Joel's death turned a lot of fans off of the game. Like, I know people who stopped playing and put down the controller and turned off the console and have not touched the game since that moment. But I am here speaking to those people, and I want to give you 3 reasons to continue playing, to play past Joel's death. Okay, I'm gonna list the reasons real quick, and then we're gonna jump into it a little more. Reason 1, it's a waste of money. Reason 2, that's not the last time you're gonna see Joel in the game. And reason 3 is to do it for the story. Now, let's unpack reason 1. If you missed it, reason 1 to keep playing is that it's a waste of money. Like, if you pre-ordered this game, you spent at least $60 for this game, and you got 2 hours into gameplay. I went through super fast, and it took me a solid 3 days of playing to get through the story. So if you only got 2 hours in, you're quite literally wasting your money. And if you waited all of that time for the sequel and you don't play past 2 hours, like, what the hell are you doing? Just do it. Get the most out of your money. Take that. I'm a Capricorn. Like, get the most bang for your buck. Even if you hate the story, like, at least play it. You don't know that you're gonna hate the rest of it if you don't play. Okay, so that was number 1. Waste of money if you don't keep playing. Reason 2. There is more screen time for Joel and for Ellie and Joel than that scene where she sees him die a horrible, horrible death. Okay? We get several flashbacks between Ellie and Joel and how their relationship has grown and changed and progressed since part 1 of The Last of Us. We get it throughout the game. So if you stopped playing part 2 just because of Joel's death, because you're like, he's gone, we're never going to see him again, this is awful, this is bullshit, I would challenge you to reconsider, because you are going to see more of Joel throughout the game. You're not going to see him, I mean, he's dead, he's gone, but you still get to see him, and you still get to see him with Ellie, and you get to see their bond, and it's really beautiful to see how much they've grown to love and trust each other since part 1. Okay, so if you stop playing just because Joel's gone, reconsider, because I am telling you that is not a valid reason, because he pops up again and again and again. Okay, so that's reason 2. Reason 3, this is the most important in my opinion, but again, this is coming from someone who loves stories. Reason 3 to keep playing past that 2-hour mark is to do it for the story. I think for a lot of people, the reason that they really fell in love with The Last of Us is because it gave us real, complex characters that we could relate to and form attachments to and love and connect with in a way that a lot of video games don't give us. It gave us a great story for these characters. And I think for a lot of people, that was the reason they fell in love with The Last of Us and why they had such high expectations for part 2. And I would really just, again, I want to push those of you that stopped playing after Joel died. I really want to challenge you to keep at it. Like, give the team an opportunity to finish their story, to finish the story that you've been looking forward to probably for upwards of 7 years. There is so much more that happens after Joel's death. Let's talk about that for a second. Joel's death. The way that Joel was murdered by Abby was awful. It was heartbreaking. It was sickening. It made me feel sick. I am a very empathetic person, and I felt... Oh, I'm getting emotional. I felt Ellie's grief like it were my own. And I didn't wait those 7 years in between parts to like get attached, but I get attached to characters very quickly, and seeing Abby do that to Joel was absolutely awful. But these games are known for their violence, and I can understand why people would stop playing, especially people who love Joel. There are people where Joel's their favorite video game character ever. But Joel's death ends up being the driving force of the entire game. And like I was saying about letting the story happen, it's the force behind everything. It's okay. This is going to sound very technical and impersonal, but Joel's death serves a purpose. It serves the purpose of pushing the story along. Again, it feels wrong to talk about the death of such a beloved character in such an impersonal way, but when you get down to the way stories are told, his death is everything. It is the reason for part 2. It quite literally is why we have part 2. It's why we get to see such great representation. It's why we get to see Ellie and Dina travel the country together and really fall in love. Which this was the first time that I had ever seen queer romance in a video game, and especially with Dina being a queer woman of color and being Jewish, which is a race thing and a religion thing, and like that was very cool to see, and to see, you know, a canon lesbian and a canon bisexual in a relationship together, and for them to care so deeply about each other, and for even like such small parts of the game like Ellie's journal, seeing that relationship come to fruition throughout The Last of Us Part 2 was really, really important to me. And like, Joel's death is the reason we have that. And Joel's death is why we get to understand why Abby killed him. Like, I don't know about you, but I was I pissed at her? Oh yeah, I was like, fuck you, you bitch. But I wanted to know why. I was like, what did Joel do that like drove her to such lengths, like to not only to kill him, but to kill him in such a gruesome way? And again, Joel's death is the reason that we are introduced to Abby, and we learn why she killed him, and we learn what she does after the fact, and how she goes about her life after doing such an awful thing. And there is so much more to the story. I want to leave you with this last thought on the topic. I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to leave it be. I'm going to walk away. And in the comments, I want you to respond to what I'm about to say. I want you to give your honest opinion. I'm going to read through the comments, okay? I really want to know what you think about this. So, I'm going to say it. Joel's death wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of everything. That's it. I'm not going to say any more on the topic. I realize this video is short in the scope of things, but if you liked it, please smash that like button. Maybe click subscribe if you like this. I'm gonna talk about The Last of Us Part 2 in several other videos. I will probably make a playlist of it. So if I remember, I'll throw a card up here. I'll leave stuff in the description. But if you want to see when I come out with other videos on the topic of The Last of Us Part 2, subscribe and click that bell notification so that you can see it first. I absolutely loved The Last of Us. I love The Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to talk about, in another video, I'm going to talk about diversity and the importance of it in video games. I'm going to talk about the juxtaposition between the two main female protagonists. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I have a lot of feelings about the game. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack. But if you have made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for spending the time with me. And as always, drink water, because it's good for your body. Okay, bye!